Okay, this is my Husqvarna I picked up from auction a while back. This machine was definitely one of the nicer machines at this particular auction. All the other machines were very old and there were a few fairly new zero turns, but this was one of the nicer of the traditional machines. It's just about time to sell it. I may have somebody interested. I don't know quite yet. I gotta discuss price and stuff like that with the potential new buyer or new owner, whatever you want to call it. What did this machine need? This machine was fairly well put together. It had a newer engine, but it had a few little hiccups. The transaxle didn't want to always engage, and the engine had a stalling issue. And the deck had a bit of rust, but that was taken care of, and it's all good to go. Let's start with the transaxle. It would randomly just stop. It was like it was losing fluid, losing pressure in the pump, and it would just randomly stop. I filled up the transaxle with oil. It didn't seem to help, so I was going to do a transaxle swap on it, but the one I had would bolt in, but just wasn't 100% correct. It was from an older machine, and yeah, like I said, it bolt in, but just was not right. I probably could have made it work, but I figured, okay, let's put the stock one back in and see what happens. So I put the stock transaxle back in the machine, and the problem was gone. The problem actually kind of went away driving this home from Super Secret Store's location, but the problem has never came back since. I have drove this machine quite a bit. I've cut most of the back lawn with it and most of the front lawn with it, and now it gets into the next issue it had. But the transaxle was never the issue. The issue was with the engine this time. The engine would randomly shut off. Most times when you think of a random shut off issue, spark. I was originally thinking fuel, since the fuel in the tank was fairly old, possibly had moisture in it, but I really don't know. But always take your first solution or your first guess and run with it. It was spark. The harness to the engine had been cut up quite a bit going to the kill wire. Someone had definitely been in here probably when they put this engine in. Like I said, this is not the original engine. It is a 19 or 18.5, which this machine would have came with, but these machines did not come with this particular style engine. So it came with the a little bit older variant of this engine. Yes, someone could have changed the top covers, but really I don't think so. I think this is most definitely a replacement engine. So anyways, as the engine was heating up, the kill wire would ground out, and it was very intermittent. So it would sometimes work perfectly fine. While when I was driving this home from Super Secret Store's location, it was fine. But while cutting grass, it would randomly die. It randomly died on my fence line. It died in my front yard. My neighbor actually came over, tried to give me a hand getting it running again, and he even went out to the reserve and bought me some fresh cast. Obviously, I paid him for it, but it wasn't the fuel. I put fresh fuel in it. I was about to tear down the carburetor as well, just to make sure there was nothing floating in the float bowl, or make sure there's no issues in the carburetor. And I started looking at the coil. The coil didn't look too bad, but then I looked at the wire. The wire going to the ignition coil was definitely very bad. It was spliced in 2 or 3 different spots, and it was really not in the greatest condition. Luckily, while cleaning out a bin looking for a potential replacement coil for this machine, I found a replacement wiring harness. So I had a harness on hand, put it in place. I cut my entire front lawn with it, no issues. Where I got stopped with this machine before, went past that spot without any issues. It continued to run perfectly. So the problem has been fixed, I hope. I'm not selling the machine as of yet, but I think it's good to go. I would like to cut with it a few more times. The backyard really doesn't need to be cut again, probably for about another week or so. The front yard I just did with this machine. It did perfectly fine. At full throttle, there was no surge, no hunting, nothing. This machine ran perfectly fine. I've also pressure washed the engine. When I had the top cover off, the engine got pressure washed. I cleaned up as much as I could get to on this machine. I did forget that back tire right there, the rim. So I'll hit that with a pressure washer once more before I go in for the day. But I think this machine is good and ready to go. It should definitely serve somebody some good use, as long as they don't try and pull a heavy trailer with it or do more than the machine is actually designed to do. After this, I do have 3 more machines I got to get on. Actually, technically 4. 3 I'm selling. The 4th one I'm keeping. But I think this one here is now ready to go. So I'll talk to them later. Please keep it redneck like always, and please subscribe and comment.